So I mean, the point is there. I mean, you can go do your research all yourself. I just finished reading some of this. He says, and the death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. So yeah, so if it says death and hell were cast into the lake of fire, how can the lake of fire be the same thing as hell? That's this guy's point here. Death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. Because you know what that, because you know why that doesn't make sense, because y'all don't really know what it means when the death and hell are cast into the lake of fire. Here in Revelation, as it says in Revelation 20, 13 to 14, it's a metaphor for basically how Israel is going to be perfect once again. We're not going to die anymore, as it was in the beginning. You other nations are going to die. You're going to live temporary lives. You're going to have temporary time here in this life here on earth. But the Israelites are never going to die. We're going to have immortal bodies. And it's also, so it's symbolic of America being destroyed. Because America represents all abominations, the filthiness of her fornications, of this whore. That whore represents Edom, his pride, his kingdom, his glory. It's no coincidence Edom is the same serpent that deceived Eve. So when you go into that, you gotta understand who the serpent is, and who Adam is. Adam is Yahushua. For Yahushua to come back and destroy Edom's kingdom, the serpent's kingdom, at its top heights. That's what it represents. That's the story. That's the death and hell being cast into the lake of fire. The lake of fire is America being destroyed, which automatically also represents, is synonymous with Esau being destroyed, the serpent being destroyed. Makes sense now? It should. It surely makes more goddamn sense than fucking literal hell, where you burn forever. There is a literal hell. The literal hell is here on earth. The lake of fire is something else that's gonna happen here on earth. You understand what I'm saying? My explanation, which is a true explanation, which is not my explanation, it's the Lord's explanation that He imparted unto me through His other teachers. Okay, our understanding of this, which was given to us by the Lord, the true understanding to this Bible and the secrets here in this Bible, the metaphors, parables, similes, and analogies, riddles, sayings, makes more sense than what you fake Christians is going to be bringing. Talking about hell and the lake of fire is the same thing. If it says here death and hell are cast into the lake of fire, how can the lake of fire be hell? You got a lot of explaining to do. That is the second death. This is the second death. Revelation 20, 13 to 14 in the King James Version. And it only ever says that the devil, beast, and false prophet are tormented day and night forever and ever. Oh, that's another good point here. This guy just brought. This dude knows more than you fake ass Christians. And he doesn't even know the true names. But it says right here. That's another good point he just said here. And Reddit here, it says Reddit has some good stuff there. Here then. I think Reddit can go even more harder than ChatGPT here. It says right here, it says, and it only ever says that the devil, beast, and false prophet. No offense, but we use, I know Tar mentions ChatGPT a lot, but just like you use ChatGPT Reddit here, you go to this as well to go to. I got a lot of good shit here too, information here too. Because ChatGPT and these websites and these documentaries, they are really like your modern day books. He says, and it only ever says that the devil, beast, and false prophet are tormented day and night forever and ever. Forever and ever, because you know why? Because that's representing Esau's destruction, his tormented day and night forever and ever, because after that Esau ain't gonna rise back up again. That's a simile, a metaphor describing how basically how Esau is not gonna get any more mercy from the Lord ever again, because after that, after America is destroyed, Esau ain't going to be literally put into a fairy tale place that doesn't exist where you burn forever in fire. No, it's going into how basically America is going to be burned with fire temporarily. At some point, there's not going to be any more fire to be looking at America, whatever remains of it, if anything even remains of it. Well, there is going to be piece of America that remains of it, because that does mention how it's going to be a literal desert. So it's going into basically that memorial being a just that, a memorial of Esau's lost fortune and fame and kingdom and power, along with a few other wicked ass Hamites, Egyptians, wicked ass rulers of the earth. Revelation 20 and 10. Crazy how it literally states hell and the lake of fire as two different things in verse 14, but people just look past that verse like it don't matter. I like this dude here. He is speaking more truth than you false Christians. We're being told a lie already. We're being deceived by Satan. He created this lie so as to make us believe our free will isn't so free. Why would God give us freedom of choice and torment you for an eternity for not believing in him? Absolutely insane. That is not the God I believe, but the one that died for my sins so that I could spend eternity with him in heaven and not perish. Lastly, the only one spending an eternity of torment is Satan, false prophet, and he's going off there. That's another thing. They think literally Satan is going to be cast into a hell forever. No, that's not true either. Literal Satan, the demon Satan, spiritual demon Satan, is not going to be burning in hell forever with the false prophet. When it says false prophet there, when it says Satan there, Satan just means adversary. When you go back to this way, once again, you got to understand the origins and meaning of Genesis. When you go back to the Garden of Eden, the origins and meaning of that serpent there that deceived and beguiled Eve, that's talking about Esau. When you go into the 4th chapter, the Most High is talking to the serpent and the woman. He's talking to that woman represented, later on will represent Rebecca, and that serpent there who will later on. So much information to grasp, trying to explain it, bro. The serpent there is Esau. The woman there is Eve, right? Who would come back later to represent Judah, Jake, Israel, which would in the form of Rebecca, that one literal woman, yeah, but as a whole, Israel. True, the two babies that she would have, one of this nation, the other of that nation. Hence why it said these two nations shall be separated from thy bowels, separated. Okay, when you go in, and one gets the blessing, one gets the curse. The elder shall serve the younger. When you go into Genesis 4, it tells you a similar. It gives you a similar event. It's very much the same, just with different details, little bits of details here and there, but basically the same thing. The Lord curses the serpent, and the Lord tells the woman, thou shalt be in enmity with thy seed and her seed, meaning the serpent's seed shall be always fighting against the woman's seed. The woman is the serpent, which would make sense when you go into our people, how most of them who are Israelites go back to our 12 tribe chart signs to understand who they are. When you go back to that and you see how deceived that my people are, yeah, I'm Mexican, I'm Issachar, those are my people. I can say those are my people. I'm not an Edomite. If I was an Edomite, I wouldn't be able to say those are my people. Those are my people, though, and when I look at them, most of them are deceived. So those are my people. They are deceived. So it would make sense for them to represent the same way their mother was, Eve, easily deceived by the serpent. So when you go into Satan, so I say all that to say this, when you go into Satan, it means an adversary. What does an adversary do? He's your enemy. He's your opponent. He's going to constantly go against you. That's what an adversary means when you look it up for yourself. An enemy, an opponent. Somebody that is going to constantly give you trouble. When you look at the so-called white man today, which you can't say all white people are Edomites. You got a lot of Edomites. I mean, you got a lot of Israelites that look like so-called Edomites, white people, but they are, in fact, Israelites. When you go into Hosea, it gives you the details right there. Ephraim is a cake not turned. Ephraim is a cake not turned. He has mingled himself among nations. And look at that pancake. Basically, yeah, they used to make pancakes back in that time too. One side that's been on the stove, touching the stove, the hot part of the stove for a minute, compared to the other side that's not even flipped. That's the pancake example right there. So that's certain Israelites. So when you go into adversary, that's who our adversary is. Once again, go read Genesis 25. Already brought it out many times. I'm about to start making a playlist and put it on there so you can go see it yourself. Get a correct understanding and explanation. Like through spirit, bro, I fucking explain these things perfectly, man, too. And it's the simplest fucking ways you could fucking ever get it, bro. And you niggas still don't understand. This is 2nd Ezra 6 and 9. Yeah. And I feel like that's one of the blessings the Lord just gave me. 2nd Ezra 6 and 9. For Esau is the end of the road, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And then like this man right here, this prophet here, Ezra, he comes back. He comes into the scene. What, like 3,000, 4,000 years after Abraham and after Isaac and Jacob were born. After the prophecy that the Lord spoke to through a prophet, by the way. It was a prophet that came to Rebecca and spoke to her. Because once again, these fake-ass Christians are the same ones who believe that the actual serpent there in Genesis was actual literal snake. Show me a literal snake today that can walk and talk and speak. And they used to be able to walk. So when you go into the 4th chapter, when it says he shall roll on his belly, that's why snakes can't walk anymore. So how come I don't see a snake today that's constantly trying to fight against that woman's seed and her seed. But if you were to put that in the actual, in a different context, the correct context where you're supposed to fit that in to understand it as people, this one being one race, this other being the opposite race, black and white, right? In lamest terms, I'm just speaking lamest terms. The black race versus the white race, right? It's really, I hate to say it that way, because really, it's no such thing as black, and really, black culture is not your culture, Jake. And Mexicans are part of your people. You should stop trying to treat them like this, so like you two are so different, goddamn people. I just really fucking hate that. It's one of my most annoying things I gotta see on this earth. But yeah, man. So I'll make a video all on that, or add it to some playlist later on for any new believers coming in that want to learn this, or any um new dudes, new guys that just come in that want to hear what we have to say and not really get the full context of something. Like, you can't study something, by the way, if you come up to us and speak to us, if you haven't even studied us and completely got a thorough understanding of what we're speaking on, you should do your research first, man. Okay, do your research first. Okay, even when I studied Islam and shit, I never studied Islam, actually. Fuck Islam, but I mean, that's the point, man. That's the point. I don't want to keep going on with this, but it says here, hell is a hypercritical concept that many people use to exert control over their fellow Christians. You already live in hell by simply choosing to refuse the mercy of Christ and live in ignorance. And that's true. That is hell. Hell is death. It's sin, basically. And that's why it says when death and hell were cast into a lake of fire, death is going into sin. Who brought in sin into the earth? Adam, but really it wasn't Adam. It was the serpent. The serpent goes back to Edom, which fits. Read Genesis 4 on down, where the Lord's curses after. Once the Lord speaks to the serpent and Eve, and talks about her seed and the serpent's seed, then go to Genesis 25, where the Lord is prophesying through a prophet about the two nations in her womb. Then read Genesis 27, around the 42nd verse. Edom tries to curse Jacob by saying, "I will slay my brother Jacob." Get 6 and 9 in the GNT. On down. That's the whole Bible in a nutshell, man. So it says, there is no need for punishment when you clearly punish yourself more than enough. I do not care what verses you spew. The character of God is clear to me, and hell has no place in it. I personally interpret hell to be eternal nothingness, consciousness with your thoughts, but with no sense. That would make the most sense, as the Bible repeatedly says death. Heaven is way to life, and it is by definition we are living. The heaven is the continuation of life, but rather than earthly, godly. Yeah, and that's going to be the godlike bodies that the Israelites are only going to have as God's chosen people. Because you think as Christians, basically, in essence, you think that Deuteronomy 7 where the Lord says we are above you nations. It has nothing to do with future prophecies, future books that are in here in the Bible, specifically the New Testament, right? Deuteronomy 7 verse 6, thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. And that's going to be literal. That still is the case today. We still are above all you people on the face of the earth, not in our physical condition and minds right now, because we are cursed. This is our punishment from the Lord himself. So we're not above you people, but in the Lord's mind and his heart, we are still above you other people. The brother made a video yesterday. I kind of looked into it, saying that the greatest chastising for the greatest people on earth. If this ain't one of the greatest hells for a whole nation to be in, okay, blind, negligent, ignorant of who they are, divided, thinking their culture is nigga culture, black culture. It's not our culture, by the way, to you Judites, simple as Southern Kingdom out there. Thinking our culture is brown versus black, Mexican versus niggas. That's not the lowest, or that white is versus black and Mexican. Because you have Edomite looking Israelites that are falling into that white supremacy shit too, and think they're better than Mexicans and niggas, and then make fun of Mexicans and do Mexican jokes that are very horrible and black jokes that are very basic. So yeah, it's not even us. It's not our culture, bro. So, you Israelites are, a lot of y'all are stuck on stupid. And it's a no way go zone, bro. So as your leader, as your prophet, I commend you and command you to stop that shit and wake the fuck up, man. Jake, wake the fuck up, bro. Because I am your prophet and I am above you, motherfucker. But yeah, man, I mean, that's the point, bro. And alright, prophets used to call themselves prophets, things of that sort. You used to do those jokes right there, here and there, man. All the time. Yeah. So with that, man, that's the point, bro. And yeah, just go look into those excerpts, man, and precepts there I just brought out to you. Through the mighty duffel bag spirit of the Lord of Rakron Kodash, man. A holy duffel bag, alright? So with that, I mean, that's the point, man. I mean, Shalom and Bar. Okay, so the points, hell is a completely different thing. Hell is actually not even a term that they said in the Hebrew. Hell in the Hebrew would just mean grave, which in their cultural context, they would know what that meant. That meant earth here. Earth is where you die. Earth is where you come to get judged. It's in the book of Ecclesiastes. The place under the sun, that judgment was there. The place under the sun, that righteousness was there. That wickedness was there. This is the place under the sun. The earth is the only place that resides and inhabits all its life and inhabit origins here where it's under the sun. Okay. And the lake of fire is a whole different thing. It's going to happen here on earth where hell is, where the term hell is. Hell just means judgment there, the grave. Okay, it's synonymous with this to describe Earth. It's just like if you were to describe anything else, anything else with a different word to it. But that's the point. That's Shalom and the blah blah blah.